Hey everybody, it's Steph Davis here from flipthiswholesaler.net, and I am here with a brand new reader mail video for you guys. My question this afternoon comes from Christine. This was actually a question that was left on my blog. Christine writes, "Hi Steph. In a regular wholesale deal with a private seller, do I use the standard purchase and sale agreement and make it assignable? What contract does the end buyer sign? Same one or different one? Also, when do I collect my non-refundable deposit? If you would walk me through this whole procedure step by step, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you, Christine." Okay, Christine. So she wants to know basically what steps are involved regarding the paperwork when you are wholesaling a deal from a private seller. And keep in mind, this is going to be a different process than if you were wholesaling a deal from a bank. With banks, you cannot assign the contract, so that process is going to be a little bit different. So let's just say we'll take an example and say that you have a seller that's willing to sell you their property for $80,000. So you're going to sign a purchase and sale contract with that seller with a purchase price of $80,000. Okay. Once you get that contract signed, you can take it to your title company and have them begin the title work on it, just to make sure that there are no surprises, there are no liens or anything crazy going on with the title. Once you find your end buyer, let's just say in this example that you find an end buyer who's willing to pay $90,000, okay? You're not going to have them sign a purchase and sale agreement. You're going to have them sign an assignment of contract agreement, okay, which basically says that you are assigning the purchase and sale contract that you have with the seller, okay, that contract for $80,000. You're assigning that contract, or basically selling that contract to your end buyer for 10 grand. Okay, so on the assignment of contract, it basically says in a nutshell, I, Stephanie Davis, hereby assign all of my rights in the contract dated whatever the date is on the contract you have with the seller, over to Billy Buyer for $10,000. Okay, you're also going to have a line in there where it says what the deposit is that you're going to be getting from your end buyer. I recommend at a minimum $2,000 non-refundable deposit that you collect from your end buyer when that assignment contract is signed. Okay, they can either write it out to you and you hold on to it, or sometimes they're going to want to write it out to someone to hold it in escrow, like a title company or an attorney. But either way, this is when the assignment of contract agreement is signed. That is when you collect your non-refundable deposit from your end buyer, okay? Once that is signed, you bring that to the title company. So now they have the purchase and sale contract, and they have the assignment contract. When the closing takes place, you don't actually, as the wholesaler, have to show up to closing, okay? Because your end buyer is basically stepping into your shoes in that contract, and they are now the buyer, okay? So the day of closing, they're going to show up. Your end buyer is going to show up with the $80,000 for the property plus the $10,000 for your assignment fee, so $90,000 minus the if they gave you, say they gave you a $2,000 deposit, so they would show up with $88,000, and then of course they're going to have some closing costs that they're going to need to pay for too. So they're going to bring that cash to closing, and then the title company will cut you a check for your assignment fee. All right, if you're holding on to the deposit, say you're holding on to that $2,000, then they're going to cut you a check for $8 grand. If the deposit was being held in escrow somewhere, then they're going to cut you a check for 10 grand. Okay, but you'll get that. You'll get your assignment fee at closing, and it will be in the form of a check cut to you by your title company, or whatever title company you're using. So that's in a nutshell. One thing I wanted to point out, just a friendly reminder, that once you get the property under contract and then you assign it over to your end buyer, you want to make sure that you keep in contact with all parties until the deal closes. Okay, so you want to keep in contact with the seller, your end buyer, and the title company, just to make sure that everything is on track, make sure everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing, and so you can be sure that the deal actually gets to the closing table and you end up getting that check. So any other questions that you have, if I left something out, feel free to leave a comment below and I'll be happy to answer for you. You guys have a great afternoon, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.